in San Francisco and they were in LA, they were like, let's drive over and come fix this problem and you get a lot of money. And we didn't earn a lot of money at the time because we didn't charge a lot for Enterprise Edition. So Sid said, yeah, this company has this problem and they want us to come over and it's LA and we'll have to stay there for a night and we'll stay in a hotel and it's probably a horrible idea, but maybe we should just do it. And I was really excited, like, oh, we're here I've never been to LA and this is a nice opportunity and there's like seeing this big company and helping them migrate. Oh, it sounds like a great idea to do this. And this was the night before we were supposed to go. And what Sid did is we were all sitting there in a tiny living room that we spent all our time. And what he did is he like went by everyone. And I'm a pretty opinionated person. I'm the first one to say like, yeah or no, we shouldn't do it. And he went like by everyone, asking, do you think we should do this? And everyone's like, yeah, no, I think it's a good opportunity. And he ended with me, and I was like, oh, this is a bad idea, but like, I've never been to LA, let's go. That sounds like a great idea. So next morning, and I had no idea what was going on. Next morning we get up, and we get into the boat, which was this huge van that we had, with 9 men, in a single car, and we were off to LA, and I told my then fiancée Carla, yeah, we're going to LA to this customer. She said, oh, it's great, enjoy. And we were driving, and I'm a control freak, so I checked before how long it would be, like 7 hours from San Francisco to LA. So we were in the car for like 8 hours, and I was starting to think, it's pretty long. Oh, I must be wrong. And I asked a few questions here and there. At one point, I asked one of our colleagues at the time, so what is the hotel that we're staying in LA? Is it this one? And he, what did he say, Mario?
Yeah, sure.
All right, so yeah, we keep on driving, I'm getting a little bit nauseous, but I'm also starting to, I started to look around and, well, I was nauseous and I didn't know where we were. Take a picture, and I was like, send a picture to Carla. And Carla sent a message back, oh, that looks a lot like Nevada. So I said, no, this is California. We went on for this was literally, I sent a message and like an hour went by and I started to check Google Maps. I was like looking at Google Maps and doing like to the direction of that specific hotel that we were headed. And I said, guys, I think we're going in the wrong direction. And from behind me they went, no we're not. No we're not. Yeah, so apparently we were going to Las Vegas for my bachelor party.
There's a piece I want to hear where Dimitri started. You guys made up a technical problem, and Dimitri started, getting really into it.
Yeah, so I was aware of Project X and everything, and at some point I just was so full into the coding that I missed the point that we are playing right now in the theater, yeah. So the only person who is not into the game is Job. But I didn't get it, so the problem about the database seemed real to me, and I started Googling, getting all the information from internet. I was so overplaying it because I was like, I believed it was real. We are really going to LA to fix the problem. Guys, after Job left, guys like, hey Dmitry, you were overplaying it. And I was like, overplaying what?
And there was some issue with Hayden driving and getting around signs pointing to LA. Yeah.
So Hayden knows the area better than us, of course. So at some point there was a big intersection right somewhere that says like Las Vegas, Los Angeles. But Hayden knew a road around the intersection, so he took a slight detour down some really shady road just to go around that big intersection and just hop back on the highway. And I also wanted to say that Job managed to notice that we are going to Las Vegas short 100 miles before we arrived.
I had no idea. I had no idea. We were driving literally for hours and hours straight to Las Vegas, and I had no idea. I didn't. I saw like Las Vegas on the signs and like just explain it away. I was like, yeah, of course, Las Vegas is on these signs. Like, I don't know the road here. Why?
The cover story, we had like fake phone calls going on with this like customer in LA, and I got yelled at, and I was like, we really need to fix this. And it was, the story we made up is that the issue tracker from one of our major competitors that they were also running crashed, and that we had to convert everything to GitLab over the weekend. So when we saw Dimitri like bookmarking the database structure of our major competitors' issue tracker, we were all like, wow, that guy is really playing along well. We were driving down, and at some point, like the GPS had like how many hours were left, and Job was asking more and more questions, so we like took down the GPS, and then like, why is the GPS taking that? Well, Hayden knows the road around here. Okay. And I was sitting in the back of the car, and from there we could just see Job on his phone. So all three of us were poking each other, like, it's happening, he's gonna get our Google Maps. Yes, he's getting our Google Maps. So if you look at the recording on our culture page, we started filming before he even said something. We saw that coming. I think the part that was cool was where Job just started retracing like the last 2 weeks, playing it back in his head, like, and this and that. You want to speak to that, Job?
I had no idea. Like I couldn't imagine they went through all this effort just to surprise me, and I couldn't believe it. Like I couldn't believe it. Like it all like, and in retrospect, I felt so stupid because of course not. Like why? Like I was doing support. Why didn't I know about this problem? And the best part was then hearing them going through all these fake phone calls that I never even took note of. I had no idea there was a fake phone call going on. I was already happy to go to LA. It was I was really surprised and really shocked. Well, you can see it in the video. Like my voice goes like 5 pitches up, like for like solid 10 minutes.
You didn't trust us after that?
No. And afterwards, like I was suspicious until I left. Like I was like, every time they said something like, "Yeah, let's do this," I was like, "Really? Really?"
Nice. I heard there was a big email that came in right before demo day that, it's kind of surprised you guys. Can we hear a little bit about that?
Yeah, so that came into me, and it was one of our competitors saying, "Come to our office and we should talk." And I was like, awesome. I went by their office already a few times, and I looked through the windows, and it was super fancy. So I wanted to just check that out from the inside. And you kind of know they want to talk because they like what you're making, so that's cool, right? They're gonna say nice things about GitLab, and I like people who say nice things about GitLab, just slightly more. And then it was we had partners at Y Combinator. And so I said, well, we got this email, great news, right? I'm planning to do this. And he said, the only reason you want to go there is your own ego. It's bad for the company. You should only go if you want to sell right now. And the only thing you'll do is give a face to the competition and give them more information that they don't have right now. And I felt really humbled and stupid, because that was exactly what I was going to do. So it was a big lesson in not going for the recognition, not going for the articles, not going for the press releases, not going to seem greater, but just focusing what's right for the company. How do we compete? And how can we make this bigger? So I wasn't going there because I wanted to be transparent. gonna go there because I want my ego to be stroked. And that was exactly the wrong reason. So I was very grateful to the great advisors at Y Combinator that gave us countless advice like this.
All right, and I heard about some presentations before demo day that involved a lab coat and safety goggles to go with the lab theme. Maybe tell us a bit about that, and then tell us about the actual demo day presentation.
Well, this was way before Y Combinator. This was after I just found out about GitLab and I was running that .com. I thought I'd spread the word in Amsterdam at the local Ruby meetup, and I thought it should be rememberable. So I went to the secondhand marketplace, and I ended up with someone that was studying animal science, is a better word for it, but I bought this lab coat, so he says, "What, do you have exams coming up?" And I was like, "Not really." And I printed like our logo, which was an Erlenmeyer at that time, on it. And I purchased a pair of safety goggles, so I went to that meetup and made a fool out of myself by presenting like that. And years later, people still remember that presentation because not many people make a fool out of themselves. And luckily, I stopped making a fool out of myself. Like, people suggest I'm gonna dance later today and do the sit shuffle. It's all rumors. But it was really fun, and I had a great, it was great that if you do something interesting, something quirky, people remember you, so feel free to do that.
Yeah, I want to quickly add to that the first time I heard about GitLab was when, at the time I was a Ruby developer and I still live in Amsterdam, and I missed going to the weekly or monthly meetup, but my wife went, and she said, yeah, there was this crazy guy in a lab coat giving a presentation about something. That was the first time I heard about GitLab at all. So, yeah, it worked.
Nice. It even outlived the actual content, just the lab code itself. How about demo day itself? What happened there?
We were, obviously you're super nervous. Y Combinator is great because they just make you focus on results 2.5 months long. And then after that, they say, okay, now stop shipping and now start preparing the presentation. And you train for the presentation. They have like open hours the last 3 days, and you just give it to anyone who wants to listen, and they'll all critique it. And the critique many times is it's always good, but sometimes it's like you adapt something and then the other person doesn't like it, etc. So you just keep shaving and making it better. Giving the presentation itself, it went well. Afterwards, it was really a humbling experience to have like these people that you only read about on the blogs. For example, Michael Arrington that used to run TechCrunch, come up to you and say that was great and I'd like to invest. So it was very like, I ended up in technology paradise, and it ended. At the end, I was standing in a huge crowd, and Aston Kutcher came by, and he said, "I want to talk to you. Do you have a card?" I was like, "No, I'm out of cards. Do you have a card?" And he's like, "I'm out of cards too." And I was like, "Well, our assistants will contact each other," or something like that. And it worked out. So, but it was a very crazy day.
You didn't say, "Dude, where's my card?" Sorry.
Good timing, right in there. So in my mind, the next thing I know to ask about is the first GitLab summit, but I don't know if there's any other thing in between there that we shouldn't miss.
Well, actually, the first summit was before Y Combinator,
Oh, okay.
and it was almost 2 years before Y Combinator, and it wasn't a summit at that time. We didn't really call it a summit. It was just let's meet up finally somewhere where we can all reach without visas. And at that point, that was Serbia. I lived there, and Ukraine didn't have visas for Serbia, or the other way around. And we decided, okay, well, Sid also always kept saying that he would really love to visit. So we made it happen, and they came over for what, I think almost a week or something like that. And at that point we managed to fit also in one car, but compact, as you would Americans would call it. We were like, I made a point of showing the cities I lived in, and pointing out to great food that we have back there. So it became basically going from a restaurant to restaurant, or from breakfast to lunch to dinner, more than anything else. At some point I was considering taking them to my parents' place to show them where I was born and grew up. And I called my mom and asked, hey, would you be willing to cook? There are like 6 of us, so just do something small, so they just get to meet you and see where I grew up. And she was like, yeah, sure, that's absolutely not a problem. So I was like, okay, I'm going to make a day out of it. So we're going to visit Belgrade, the capital, drive around, show Sita some things that I think he still remembers.
Yeah, so it's a really humbling experience if you walk together in Belgrade, and like, here used to be our Ministry of Defense, and it was your F-16 bombers that flattened this place, and we didn't rebuild it to remind us of what happened to us. And mine wasn't angry or anything, but you just realize how war is a horrible thing, and there's never anything good coming from it.
Exactly. And we then continued to my city there where I was born, which is very close to the capital. And we were arriving at my parents' house. My brother is opening the door, saying hi to me and saying, just don't. And I knew that something was off, that he managed to say that. And then he moved around and I saw my aunt and my mom. So my mom called the backup. And I was looking, why is my aunt here? And I realized they were cooking on 2 floors of my house at the same time. And I asked, Mom, what did you do? And she said, well, I just made small dishes. We need to show like what kind of food we have. So we all sat down at the table for 12, 6 of us, by the way. And my mom started bringing in food. And bringing in food. So she started first from the top floor, bringing in food, and then from the bottom floor. And at some point she said, okay, I don't think we have enough room. And we still have a main dish to cover. Yeah, I think everyone enjoyed the food, and I remember vividly Karen being red in her face because she really wanted to try everything, but it was too much. And I remember Dimitri saying, oh, this soup reminds me of back home. Like, this is just amazing. So you have like extra plate of soup, I remember. And once we said like, okay, this done, we are done, like we cannot even cope with this anymore. My mom said, okay, I'm just going to bring dessert. So she started bringing dessert, and I was looking around, and everyone was like, how are we going to offend her now if we don't do it? So everyone took a piece of each of the sweets, and at some point, once we actually finished, everyone said, can we just walk around a bit? We know the village is not big, but maybe we can just walk around. So we walked around and came back to my place, and we went to the backyard where we opened up the laptops and started discussing GitLab stuff, of course. And my mom at some point came around the corner. My mom doesn't speak English. And she just turned to me and said, should I bring the plates? I was like, I'm not sure they're hungry. Yeah, I'll just bring some pies and just, the strudel. just let it sit there. So I placed the 2 plates on the table. They're looking at me like I was crazy. I was like, you don't have to eat it. And the night goes on, and you just see one hand after another going around the laptop and grabbing a thing after a thing. So on our way back to the city where we were staying, I was the only one that had to be awake because I was driving. Everyone else was done, knocked out completely.
I want to quickly add something to that. Yeah, that was amazing what your mom and your aunt did. Marin said, yeah, and then somewhere in between all the food, we went and did some GitLab stuff. We actually did a release. So we were out there, sitting in the backyard under the grapevine with our laptops, finishing the release post and doing one of our releases, so the monthly release.
And it was the most tasteful and full release I can ever imagine.
That is really great. That's wonderful. Well, anybody have any anything that? Oh yes,
I do have something to add. I just remember how it actually became a summit. So it was just, you know, a trip to Serbia at that point. But then Jakob's now wife surprised us all by sending us mugs with our old logo and a fork and a knife crossed. So if you look from the way back, you actually think it's like the dead, you know, like the skeleton. Skull and bones, yeah. But it actually said on the back, GitLab Summit, Novi Sad 2013. And that's how it actually became a summit.
Oh, she named it a summit?
She named it a summit. Yeah, exactly.
Wow, that's cool. That is really cool. Yes.
Yeah, and that was because the town where Marin lived at the time had this big mountain. So it was when we were standing on top of the mountain, it was like, look at now it's a summit.
I'd like to hear from some people. What was maybe your best memory, or one of your best memories you remember in all of this?
Wow, so many. I mean, we've been speaking for 2 hours and we can speak for 2 more hours without any problems. At least I can. But that's again, no surprise there. I think I kind of vividly remember our Mountain View time. So when we were staying at the house, and someone just reminded me while we were taking a break, the famous walks with Sice. So every time something was either wrong or needed to happen, Sice would approach you and just say, "Can we take a walk?" You knew something was up. Something needed to happen. And of course, all of us went to gym, you know, did stuff during the day, and you would just randomly walk in a neighborhood in Mountain View and see Sice walking with someone, and you would think to yourself, "Oh my God, he's in trouble."
I think the time in Mountain View was really interesting, and it's a good memory, as you say. It was a house with really paper thin walls. We were sleeping with 4 men in like a 1-person bedroom, and we had one of those air mattresses, but it wouldn't, like, the air would seep out during the night. So we had a relation schedule that, like, every night someone else had to sleep on the awful bed. And then we woke up, and then there was this tiny little living room where we all sat together and with all our laptops. And that was basically all we did every day, all day. So you woke up, you go to your little laptop where you also eat and also have breakfast and everything else. And then now and then you would step out with, say, to take a walk. And like the only escape that we had at the time, we all signed up at this local gym, which is like walking distance. So that was like our little escape, and we all got really into shape during the time, because at every moment you got so tired of being in the tiny little space, you're like, let's go to the gym.
So about the tiny living room, they were really back together. I was still working from home, and we'd have the team call. And the hilarious thing was that as we progressed through the different people, I would always see at least 2 other people in the background because the room was so small. So that would be the person talking, and I'd see some other person from the side working. Yeah, about the walks, even though I wasn't there, I was there for 1 day, but Sid also took a walk with me.
Obviously, when everyone's in a room like that together, if you start having a conversation, everyone is distracted. So it was a lot better to have a walk. I don't remember them to be a form of retribution. I'm sure people experience them differently. I want to go back to another memory I had, and this was a company changing moment. It might have broken the company, and Marin saved the day. Because what happened is, it was the first time us and Dimitri, we would see Dimitri. So it was like co-founders meeting for the first time. It was Dimitri's first time out of the country, I think. First time flying. He was coming to this conference in Poland. And we had rented an Airbnb, but they switched us to a different Airbnb because the hot water wasn't running. And then I sent, I think I left a voicemail for Dimitri. And what I should have done is also send him an email. I should be digital first, but I didn't. So Dimitri, what happened from your perspective?
So imagine it's close to the midnight. I drive on taxi in a known city where everyone speaks. It's Poland, like nobody speaks English. Yeah, and I arrived to the place.
I know some Polish people who speak English. We're very happy to have you as team members.
Okay, my bad, yeah. And I arrived to the place, and some random people open the door to me and says that, yeah, there is no GitLab people here, and we have no idea what's going on, and we just visitors here, so sorry, we can't help you. And the taxi left already, and I'm just standing in the middle of the street somewhere in the living districts of Krakow at the midnight, and I have some money on my phone, yeah, on cell phone, and since he's calling probably or something like this happens, and I answer it, and the money is gone. So he was not able to tell me a new address before the call ended, and I was really pissed off. Like those people actually like fool me, and I just walk around looking for some taxi driver, and I got one, and he didn't speak English. He didn't even understand the word hotel. So I was finding like two Poland people who actually speak some English, so they can actually translate that I need a hotel to the taxi driver. And taxi driver take me to some closest hotel, and I was like, okay, I'm getting a room right now, and I'm not going into any other adventure. I'm tired of this. Like, I'm spending a few days and flying back. And yeah, I get the Wi-Fi there, and I think we chatted or via email somehow reached out, and basically what happened next, Marin with Karen arrived on a taxi to the place, the hotel where I was. And Marin tried to convince me to leave the hotel and go to their place, and I haven't trusted them anymore. Like until he said, like, man, we have pizza, we have beer, come with us. It's for real. Like I promise you. So luckily we kind of share a similar culture with Serbia, so I kind of trusted this guy. Yeah, so they get me into the taxi and brought me to the new Airbnb address, and it was actually a pizza and beer there, so it was kind of good ending for that adventure.
Yeah, so after our call got disconnected, we kind of were like, he's gonna call back, right? He's gonna call back. And then after an hour, we were in full panic mode. We split up into 3 teams. 2 teams were driving taxis to Krakow, trying to locate Dimitri. And then I think it was Karen and Marin together in a taxi. And I think you waited outside for...
I held the cab downstairs and Marin went up to the roof.
Yeah, so Marin went in to evacuate Dimitri. But it took a lot longer than they anticipated, the hostage negotiation to get Dimitri out. It was a good beer and pizza afterwards.
Wow.
And one moment.
Yeah, go for it.
So back to the Mountain View house again. At that point in time, we had consultancy fees. So we had, I don't know, 200 euro per hour and you get to talk with Jakob, and basically you get to get in GitLab anything that you want. Jakob mentioned already that there were 4 of us in one room. Dimitri had his own separate room, and we also had one room that we decided to rotate as well, to have some privacy. So every week, one person would get into that one room and just stay there, like a hotel basically. But all of us shared one bathroom. That also meant, I mean, we have men in the house. So that also meant that the bathroom was disgusting. It was awful.
Don't tell
Do you understand now why I stayed home and went to my wedding?
But one additional thing that I learned is that United States has a different way of, collecting sewage and all of that stuff, right? So at some point, the toilet clogged up. And
2 or 3 times.
2 or 3 times, right? But this one was particularly bad because it wouldn't unclog itself. So we go to the boss, of course, and say like, hey, the toilet is clogged up, we cannot unclog it, do something about it. So he calls a local plumber, plumber comes in, he wiggles some things around, and he says, I unclogged it and fixed it. That would be $350. And we were like, wait a minute, you get 1 hour of work with Jakob for 200 euros, but you get almost 400 for a plumber to unclog your toilet. Maybe we should reconsider our pricing. So I think the next day we actually raised the prices of our consultancy because of a plumber in Mountain View.
Yes. Oh yes, that is excellent. Wow, that is great. What's the longest outage GitLab.com ever had?
I actually don't remember.
I think it must have been like overnight, because we were all in the same time zone at the time. So it would go out at night and we would discover in the morning. At the time, everyone was on call, and I think we were on call for 24 hours is what we did. So you just had to set a lot of alarms to make sure you would wake up, and often you wouldn't, and there was no fallback or anything. It was just like, if you don't catch GitLab.com, it's just down. So it probably was like down overnight a few times.
Yeah, I remember something like that, something with bad watchdog timer and an HP BIOS. Yeah, must have been that.
And I heard something about a postmortem that was supposed to be public or something.
So during one of the outages we had, both Jakob and I are trying to scramble together some information, any information to figure out what the hell is happening with GitHub.com. And Sita calls us and says, I think we should do a public postmortem. And I was thinking, what the hell are you talking about? I'm trying to figure out what's happening with GitHub.com, dumping details left and right, without any censorship in a document, just to make some sense out of it. And you're suggesting to open this up to the world? And I'm not sure if Jakob said yes, but I remember thinking, this is just a bad idea, or maybe it's not a bad idea, but I'm pissed off because I cannot just do whatever I want to do. It actually ended up being a top post you posted on Hacker News, and we started receiving advice. Maybe you should look here, maybe you should look there. I started censoring things I was putting, so basically just extracting some information I thought it was sensitive, which at that time there wasn't too much information that was sensitive, but we started receiving some advice, and we ended up resolving the situation. I don't really remember how we resolved it, but it was a great marketing stunt in the end, and Cici got to tell me, I told you so.
And, so that Google Doc where we were diagnosing our postmortem, I think it ended up on the front page of Hacker News. We had thousands of people watching that at the same time as we were editing it, and what we learned from that is that there's lots of people, and when we make a mistake, if we do it out in public and everyone can learn from it, we reduce the severity of it. So until this time, when we have an outage now, we immediately create an issue, tweet out the link, and people can see us working on it and making sure that the root cause is fixed. So that became part of a great tradition.
Well, guys, thank you so much. Does anybody have any last thing you want to add in that you think we skipped?
I think you asked us like, what is the nicest or best memory? I think the best thing is seeing GitLab grow. Like, it's really impressive. I remember that the first year that I joined GitLab, we went from 5 to 9 people, and I was like, now we're a company. It's really impressive to see it grow and to see how many great people work here now. And I think that overall is the best thing.
Yeah. Oh, any other highlights? Great. Well, if all of people ops are here, we had some thank yous to hand out. Oh, not? Oh, okay. No thank yous to hand out at the moment. Not thankful for anything yet. But guys, thank you for your time, and thank you for sharing so personally. This has been really interesting to me, and I hope to others. But yes.
Yes, we did get a thank you. Being on the Duet Show is our greatest reward, so thank you.
Yeah, that's it. The end.
Thanks. At 7 o'clock sharp.